Good evening, I'm Matt Bailey, and I appreciate the opportunity to discuss my interest in serving on the council as the 14th District Representative. I spent my entire career working in and with governments. Over the past 5 years, I've served as a consultant to 8 different state governments, 2 large local governments, and 3 universities, helping them deal with the financial and strategic challenges facing the public sector these days. Before that, I spent nearly 4 years leading the Reinventing Government office in the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania, where we saved over $1 billion in annual operating costs, focusing on improving program effectiveness and reducing costs for the government. I also served for 1.5 years as Assistant City Controller of the City of Philadelphia. On a personal note, I grew up in Lake Elmo in Washington County. I spent 15 years living out east, mostly in Philly while my wife was here. I was doing her medical training, and we've lived in St. Paul since 2007. Having lived and worked in many of America's largest cities, I can tell you that it's great to be back in St. Paul. Chris and I have lived in a bunch of cities, several cities I'd say, that have declining populations. And it makes me appreciate the growth and vibrancy of our region all the more. From my perspective, a growing metro area and growing core cities are essential for our region. The Metropolitan Council should not only accommodate and plan for growth, it needs to play a central role in encouraging growth. The Central Corridor, implemented thoughtfully, is a great example of a project that will create jobs, build businesses, strengthen communities, and drive growth across the region. The Council has its work cut out for it to really encourage growth. There are many challenges to discuss, but I'd like to focus tonight on just a couple: finance and governance. I'll let you know a little secret. Financial challenges at every level of government are pretty much here to stay. It's a big surprise. With 40% of the Council's budget coming from state and federal government, the financial shortfalls will affect essential public services provided by the Council and every capital project that the Council undertakes. At the same time, there's a crisis of confidence in the ability of government to deliver services fairly, efficiently, and effectively. When I mentioned the words Metropolitan Council to my brother-in-law last weekend, I got an earful from him. And he's clearly not alone in wondering what government is accomplishing and what it can get done. So whether we're talking about the Central Corridor, affordable housing in White Bear, wastewater treatment in Scott County, park development and planning across the region, it's incumbent on us to gather public input, demonstrate results, and deliver on our promises to the people. From a financial perspective, I believe the Council should focus on 2 elements: driving cost reduction through innovation and using data as a management tool. The Council is one of the most successful regional governance organizations in the country, and it can build on its successes to encourage collaboration and drive innovation across the region. I'll bring the lessons learned in working with numerous governments to help reduce costs and collaborate across borders. In terms of using data as a management tool, other governments around the country have developed focused efforts to use last week's data in a structured and relentless program to improve the effectiveness of constituent services. In Pennsylvania, we created what we call People Stat, a program to link human services funding to those programs. I'd like to help the Council adopt a similar formalized effort here to drive accountability. From a governance perspective, I recognize the concerns about the appointment and operating structure of the Council. I believe that the Council should undertake a proactive effort to ensure that it is best structured to engage with the citizens and the elected officials of the metro area. Just this morning, I was in Atlanta and discussing governance challenges with my client down there because they're implementing a shared service system. I'll bring the experience from those types of projects to the Met Council as it deals with sticky questions of governance. Now, I know that I moved away from Minnesota for a while, and even worse, am employed as a consultant. But rather than hold that against me, which would be fair, I'd suggest that my experience living and working in other cities and around the country positioned me well to serve on the Council. I built my career on driving innovation in government, and I'd love the chance to do it here. I appreciate the opportunity to talk to you. Happy to answer any questions.
Thank you, Matt, very much.
I would ask you to address how you would develop the relationships or maintain communication with local, county units of government as well as other stakeholders in your district.
Sure, a couple of quick thoughts. I think one, that the accountability program I mentioned, modeled on the Pennsylvania approach, is a great way to do that, right? So having regular meetings where we're looking at the way different parts of the council, different program areas are functioning, and looking at results of those programs is part of it. Getting that information out to those representatives, or to folks who are, to stakeholders, to elected representatives, and to others, helping them understand, as we go through these meetings on a weekly, monthly basis, what that information is one piece of it. I'd also certainly participate in formal meetings, council meetings, and the like. And I think it's also important to set up a set of informal meetings over coffee or whatever to build relationships as well.
My first question is, would you speak to your activism and engagement within the district?
Yeah, I'm an active resident of the Grand Hill community, but I have been traveling a lot for work. I have lived here for a few years, but I've been on the road quite a bit. I look forward to being here much more, but certainly I'd like to do a lot more. I haven't had a chance to do a ton within the district itself. I'm on the board of a Y camp that's headquartered on Hennepin Avenue, so I participate in a variety of efforts like that.
And Central Corridor, what do you think that what role should the Met Council take in maximizing the investment?
I think that clearly the Central Corridor is important in terms of protecting and growing the businesses along the corridor, but I think of it as a real asset for the metro area generally. We can pull together folks in both downtowns and along the corridor to help people get jobs, get to new places of work, and build businesses throughout the whole Metro Council area.